Good evening. All right, I'm gonna ask you one thing, okay? What is your story? Everyone say, what is my story? What is my story? And then the second question is, which big story am I part of? Say, which big story am I part of? Which bigger story am I part of? Okay. Um, we all are telling a story. We all are living a story. If we look at the Bible, it is one big story. And every books in the Bible is small story that play a part of the big story. Does it make sense? So when we read Genesis, when we read James, when we read John, they are small story, but they all play a part of the big story. The same with us. We live a story. We are part of bigger story. One of the bigger story is our family, right? Our family is the bigger story that we live. Within our bigger story, there is my brother. He has his own story. He has a story to tell. And then my mom has her own story to tell. My dad also have his own story to tell. But we all together tell a bigger story, just like the Bible. And then our bigger story combined with your family and your bigger story, we tell a bigger story, which is a Christian group from Myanmar, from Zomi ethnic group. That is the bigger story. So today I want to ask you one thing. Have you thought about your story, and have you started writing and recording your story? Because it is very important. If we don't write and often review our story, we forget why we live. We forget which part of the bigger picture we're part of. We forget that we forget that we are not alone. Because if we forgot that we are part of a bigger story, then we realize that we are disconnected from everything else. The reason why I started with that is because I want to tell you my story. I was asked to tell my story back in 2014, when I was at the First United Pentecostal Church, the American Church. They want me to tell the story for the 4th of July. So the story that I'm about to tell is a little bit outdated, a little bit old. I need to renew it. But I want to tell it today because everything going on in the world, it reminds me to go back to my story and to update it. And I'm so glad my mom and dad is here today, and my brother. They didn't get to listen to it back in 2014 in person, but I'm so glad they are here. I did ask them to come, but they are here. I think it is God planning. Okay? How I start my story is, I was born in 1989, the year when thousands of people were persecuted and disappeared for speaking up against the military government and promoting democracy in my former country, Myanmar, also known as Burma. Up until that time, our family was living a peaceful and comfortable life in our village, called the village that I was born, called Tungzang. My mother was a midwife who helped deliver more than 1,000 babies over the years. My father was elementary principal and had received high achievement awards for his work to improve education in our areas. He was also a licensed minister and evangelist of UPCI Myanmar. When the oppression of our government became too powerful, he had no choice but to leave. We have no choice but to leave. From the time I could remember, I knew that I was not safe in my own homeland. and my parents were finding ways to migrate into other countries. Does that story sound familiar? Does this, do you, in your life, does that story sound familiar? Do you share the similar story? Okay, think about how you're gonna write your story. I remember distinctly praying every night with my brothers and sisters around our parents' bed, asking God to deliver us to a land called America, also known to us at that time as Second Heaven. We have heard that in America, everyone has the freedom to express their opinions and to pursue their dreams without anyone's intervention. We have heard that every race, every ethnicity from all parts of the world are living and working together in peace. We have also heard that people argue a lot here in the US, but they never force their own beliefs on others. Agree to disagree was option. This is too good to be true. It must be heaven on earth, we said, we thought. And then 24 years later, now 31 years later, I need to update my story. In 2014, our family has been living in the United States for 13 years now. My parents are both working hard as the day before. Now they are retired. Two of my oldest sisters are both married. Now, two of my oldest and my third brother, my oldest brother, they are all married and have American kids. My oldest brother he have already finished his PhD and is married and have 3 amazing babies. My second older brother is pursuing his dream of becoming an actor in LA. My younger brother, this is back in 2014, is taking his time and enjoying freedom as he prepares for college. I have just finished my master and started full-time job at Siloam, which work closely with refugees and immigrants population in Nashville. We are truly blessed by living in the US. I'm very proud to call myself an American citizen as of 2012. I have learned now that America is not heaven. We still must work hard to achieve our dreams and to maintain the freedom we have. As the songwriter wrote, freedom's never free. And I thank God for all the individuals who have sacrificed their lives for us. However, I believe I have tasted glimpses of heaven here in this country. After studying much of American history, I have learned that our forefathers, who were also refugees from other countries, have visions of heaven in their hearts when they constructed the DNA of our government. I also believe the great American heroes such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had visions of heaven when he wrote, "I Have a Dream." These individuals taught me that we can look and treat each other as the way God sees us, that we should not wait till we get to heaven to practice our heavenly citizenship. There is neither black or white, slave or free, male or female, as St. Paul has said, rich or poor, saints or sinners in God's eyes. We are all equal. As a citizen of America, now I urge you today to revisit our roots, starting from the Declaration of Independence, and to recommit to bring peace and justice on earth. Also, as a Christian, I urge you today to revisit the Holy Scriptures and to take the words of Christ seriously, such as love your neighbor as yourself. May God bless America, and may it continue to be a place of refuge for the persecuted. And may God's kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. That was back in 2014. How do you like my story? Good, because my story is not possible without older story of my parents, an older story of their parents obeying God's voice to raise us and to deliver us to get closer to God, as well as to get closer to have a healthy life.